Hey everybody, can you hear me? Let me know. Let me just pull up here and we can get started here on some of the questions that you guys pre-submitted on what you want to learn here. One of the first things I want to mention too is that if you ask a question, you will be entered into a lottery to win a Film Impact bounce pack, which is pretty awesome. Thanks, Christy, for confirming that you can hear me. So the Film Impact Bounce Pack is a way for you to add transitions to videos and graphics inside your timeline. And I use it all the time. And it's a great way to not have to go in and create like a custom animation for your lower third. So I'm going to show you right now how to use the impact transitions. And somebody asked, what is my favorite one? And it's the Film Impact Pop. So if you can see here under my effects, right here there is a 3D block, and all of these are the bounce pack. And the value of this is actually $70, the bounce pack, but you can get it for free if you ask a question, and you can win it in a lottery. Okay? You can also get a gal t-shirt as well. So if I play my timeline here, I hope that you guys can see this. Let me just double check. Okay, so let me move my face to here. So if I play this back, you can see the different transitions for Film Impact. So that's the Film Impact Pop, and I really like it because it just pops up on screen, and I literally use it on every video. This is the 3D block. You can see it just sort of flips up, and this is the flip, and that flips up. And you can customize all of these just by clicking on it, which I'll show you in a second, the C push. And so these are just really easy ways for you to add some dynamism to your lower thirds or any text that you have on screen. And so it's definitely worth it because I don't have a lot of time when I edit sometimes, so I'm just trying to do something quickly, you know? But as you can see here, if you click on this effect here, up in the effects controls over here, let me just make sure that you guys can see this. And nope, let me move myself away here. You can see that there are different types of curves that you can control, frequency, amplitude, if you want it to be reverse, if you want to add motion blur. So you really have a lot of wiggle room here in Film Impact's transitions. Let me just check the live stream here to make sure. All right, so let me move back here down in the corner. And another person asked, what is your method for backing up, archiving project files and assets? So the thing about backing up and archiving your projects is that it's expensive. You know, you really need to invest in a good backup system, and I would recommend getting a network attached system that has several different drive slots, and it uses RAID technology, which is redundant technology, so it spreads data across all the drives. So there's, if a drive fails, it'll be duplicated on another disk within that system. So LumaForge has a product called Jellyfish that I would recommend. Also, the Drobo exists, so you can use a Drobo server essentially, where you can hook it up to your computer and you can like back up your data there, and it's spread across the different drives in that system. The Jellyfish is a bit more expensive. It's about $7,000. The Drobo, if you want to get about 20 terabytes, you can get it for about $1,000 to $1,500, which is not bad. I mean, it seems like a lot of money, but you know, your project is worth it. I personally could be better at it, and I'm saving up right now to actually get a nice system to back up to. But it's always good to have at least another portable drive if that's all you can afford, just to drop your project file on there, like once you're done for the night for editing. So that's pretty cool. And hey everybody, thanks for joining. I have been telling people that if they ask a question in the live chat here, any question, it can be anything, you can get a free Film Impact bounce pack, which is a bunch of transitions that you can use on your graphics and video inside of Premiere Pro, and you can also get a gal t-shirt, okay? So ask a question. Hi Apple, it's great to see you here in the live chat. It's fun to be live. So ask a question if you guys have any. I'm moving on to another question that I received prior to this. How is it being Premiere Gal? And what is Premiere Gal workflow? So, I mean, I guess it just feels awesome being Premiere Gal because I get to interact with you guys and share and learn from you all as well. It's a lot of work too, but it's a lot of fun because I also have a full-time job with this where I actually make videos for a living. So it's cool to then take what I use every day and then be able, that might be something that might be useful to you guys. So I really love doing it. It's definitely a passion project of mine. And my workflow is usually I'll get a request from you guys. And what I do is I then do a little bit of research on, if I fully understand how to do it. And then I will, sort of write up a script. And then I film usually on the weekend or on nights. And sometimes I stay up a lot later than I want to, but it's fun and I really enjoy it. So, can I make a bounce preset for free? I could actually, yeah, I could look into it. But if you ask a question too, as you just asked, you could get the whole bounce pack for free. It's a lot more math than you think. If you go to filmimpact.net, you can also see, I think you can download a trial of it. But there's a lot of math that's involved with making these effects really neat. But you can also do bounces really easily with just basic keyframing. So I can try to do something for you there. Another question I got prior to this live feed is, did I go to film school and how to learn complex softwares like After Effects and Cinema 4D? So I went to undergrad and I got a Bachelor of Arts in Film and Media Studies from UC Santa Barbara. And a lot of people think, oh, film and media studies, it's just studies, but actually it was a lot of production. I did a lot of production while I was there, a lot of internships, and I learned a lot about the industry. I did an internship in LA, and that's where I got my first job as an assistant editor. So, film school is competitive and it's expensive. So if you actually want to learn how to be an editor, I wouldn't necessarily think that you have to go to film school to do it. You just need to start doing things. And to learn After Effects, you just have to start some projects. A great way to learn it too is if you buy any templates, like from Motion Array or from Video Hive. If you get any templates, you can actually open it up and see how it's built and just sort of play around with it. And that's how I get better, is by actually working with a lot of templates that I end up using almost on a daily basis. And then maybe just trying to do some Lynda courses. When you sign up, it's like a 30-day trial. So that's a lot of time where you can get in and play around with it. So, hey, new people, Nagesh. And so Cinema 4D. Nagesh, I have not actually used Cinema 4D before. I think I may have used it once in one of the trainings I went to at Adobe Max in 2014. But I imagine that lynda.com, Pluralsight, any of those sites where you can sort of take courses, they may teach Cinema 4D. But that is not in my forte yet. I would like to learn how to use it. But it's not something that I find valuable to my workflow yet because I haven't been able to have a need to use it. Where's Premiere Pub? You mean Premiere Pup? I mean, I'd like to go to a pub right now, but Premiere Pup is actually taking a nap right now. He was at the dog park, so he's just chilling. And let me see, Matthew, how do all the non-linear editing suites compare Avid versus Premiere versus FCP, who are they for? That's a good question, Matthew. I think that, you know, it depends on, I don't think that it really truly matters what software you're using once you're at that level. If you're like a freelancer, I would say if you're working on a small team and a freelancer, Premiere Pro is awesome. Same with Final Cut Pro. Avid is great for TV shows in the Hollywood industry, from what I've heard, but I haven't necessarily worked in it yet. When I worked at the Hollywood Reporter as an intern in 2008 or 9, I forget, we were actually on Final Cut Pro 7, and it worked fine for them there. So I think it just depends on what you can afford. There's also another software by Adobe called Premiere Elements, and it's only $100. And I was actually surprised at its capabilities. So if it's an expensive shoot, try out Premiere Elements. I'm actually doing a course on Premiere Elements right now for Pluralsight, so you should go check it out. The course actually won't be ready in probably until late April, early May, as I'm just starting it now. But Avid I haven't used before, but I've heard that a lot of people that work on TV shows in LA, they use that. And Final Cut Pro, I mean, you need to be on a Mac. If you like it, then you like it. But you really can do a lot with it, so I've heard. So hold on, let me just go back here to a couple other questions that I received beforehand on Facebook and Twitter. And somebody asked me if I could explain blending modes inside of Premiere Pro, right? So let me just move my image out of the way here. Let's see, I can put myself right here. Okay, so what I have over here in my timeline is I've added snowflakes on top of this taxi cab in New York City here. And I actually used blending modes to do this. So let me show you how I did this from scratch here. So what I did, so for blending modes, you actually need 2 layers for it to actually work. Otherwise, there's no point, right? Because the idea of a blending mode is you're blending 2 layers together. So I go back to my project panel here, and I add this car shot to the timeline. You can see it there. And then I have this graphic here called Snowfall. And what I want to do is actually composite the snowflakes on top of this footage here, right? So if I just take the snowfall, bring it on top of this footage, you'll see that you actually can't see the car behind it, right? Underneath it, I mean. So this is where blending modes come in handy. If you click on the snowfall here, let me make it a little bit bigger. If you click on the snowfall, and then you go to Effects Controls, under Opacity, this is where you can change the blend mode. And the way that the most useful blending mode to composite it here is by clicking on Screen. And now you will see that you actually have the taxi cab behind it. And what the screen mode does, it takes out all of the dark parts of the images and it replaces it with the layer beneath it, okay? So that's a really nifty one to know. So if you ever download any graphics that have like a black background or something like that, you can use the screen mode. And actually I got this snowfall from motionarray.com. You can get memberships with them. You can have up to 15 to 20 downloads per month for different graphics. And then secondly, I made this other purple sky. Originally it was a blue sky, and I used blending modes to basically create a color matte and then use the hue blending mode to make the sky purple. So what I have here is clouds, and then on top I have a purple matte, and underneath the blending mode here let's turn it back to normal. So normally it would just be this purple matte here, right? But if I turn it off, this layer, you'll see the clouds beneath. So I want to blend the purple with the clouds to make a purple sky. So what I'm going to use is the hue blend mode. So if I go down to hue, you will now see that the sky is no longer blue and it's purple. So little shout out to Prince there for the purple sky. Not Purple Rainbow. So hopefully that answers it. There's another link. I think there's a blog by Premium Beat and they go over 6 useful blending modes in detail that will really help you out. So hopefully that helps you. Let me go now to the live feed here. Let's see. Yeah, my voice is mismatched. I don't know how to fix that. Sometimes it happens when you go live. Okay, let's see here. Apple said, Premier Gal, what camera model do you use on your on-location videos? I've been doing research and it's coming down to Canon M5 or Sony RX100V. So it really depends, of course, on your expense. In my full-time job, I use Canon 5D Mark II, and I also have Canon 70s, and those are DSLR. But if you're looking for something light, I think the M5 is great. I actually have a Canon M3 that I use, and I love it. So I would say, you know, probably I'd recommend the Canon M5 Apple because it does the job for me. And you can also get an adapter for it for an EF mount if you want to use lenses that are meant for the DSLR. So sorry about my audio again. I'm not quite sure how to fix it to be not mismatched, but let me see if I can change the mixer here and change the offset again to 200. Let's see if that works. Okay, so let me see here other questions I have. Somebody asked if I'm going to be making a tutorial on multicam editing. And multicam editing is where you, let's say you have a scene and you have multiple angles of that same action of somebody talking, and you want to be able to switch to those different camera angles without having to resync the audio each time. And I just finished a tutorial on multicam editing, and I'm going to release it tomorrow that goes into detail on how to do it exactly, starting from the beginning all the way to the end. So stay tuned for tomorrow, but I can give you a little, oh, it's matching now. That's great. Awesome. Thanks, Patrick, for letting me know. Sometimes it's like, it's some offset tool that you have to use. I use OBS for my live streaming. So if you ever want to live stream, OBS is free and you can have multiple windows open like I do right now. So I can even make my window bigger here so you guys can see me here. So I wanted to show you a little bit of the multicam editing right now. What I did for that is I have created a sequence here. This is actually my tutorial for tomorrow. But you'll notice here that I have multiple, if I open this up here, you can see the different cameras here. It says media penning. It's a little bit slow because I have the live stream happening. But the way that you make it work is if you go here to this icon, it's called Toggle Multicam View. And you can see the 3 different camera angles that are within this one sequence here. And I'm going to show you how to get this working, how to activate it, and how to sync all of the video clips together using one high quality audio track, okay? But to add this toggle multicam view, you actually have to go to add a button here. So wait, hold on, let me go back and make sure that you guys can see this. Nope, you can't shift it over. If you hit this plus button here, you can click and drag this icon down into your toolbar, so you'll have it for the tutorial tomorrow. It's called Toggle Multi-Camera View. And I think that you can actually have up to 16 different camera angles. I don't know who would have 16 different camera angles. I think 4 would probably be enough for me. But if you do have more than 4 camera angles, if you go to the tool, this little tool wrench right here, and you click on it, you can scroll down to edit cameras, and you can actually edit the location of this camera within this viewer here. So if I wanted this to be camera 2, you can drag that down, no problem. Actually, I think I have to drag it up here. Let's see here. There we go. And you can also disable or enable different cameras as well. So that's a little prequel to the tutorial tomorrow. Let me just check here again on the live stream to see what else you guys are doing. Awesome. Do you ever use Blender for adding things to video? If so, any tips? Actually, Super Unicorns, I just talked about the blending modes recently. I don't know if you were watching it, but basically, yes. If I ever get any graphics from, let's say, motionarray.com, like snowflakes falling, I add that using the screen blending mode to on top of any type of scenery. So let's say, for example, I will show you again. I had this car right here, and on top of it, I've added snow. So what this looked like before, if I double click on this and go to my effects controls, I actually have the screen blending mode. If I have normal, all you see is the snow falling. But because I have the car underneath, you can't see it yet because I have to add the screen blend mode, which will literally take out all the blackness and replace it with the image below. So yes, to answer your question, I do use it. Do you ever use Blender for adding things to your videos? Mr. Wolf, I'm glad that you're learning a lot right now. Awesome. That's great. So can you tell me how to edit? Nagesh, you're just full of questions, aren't you? Awesome. So how to edit audio. Nagesh, can you tell me what type of audio you want to edit? Because there's a lot going on. I mean, the one thing for audio is that I always use the exponential fade when I'm fading out a music track. So for example, right now, let's say if I have an audio track here, I use Audio Network from all my music. So if I drag this music clip down here, if you wanted to fade out, let's say I cut it here, say that was the end of my video. Hope you guys can see this. If you actually select the end of this audio track here, let me make it a little bit bigger, and you go to Effects and go to Exponential Fade and drag and drop it on the end there. Let me make this a little bit bigger. If you double click on this, you can make it longer or shorter. I like to make it a little bit longer, and then the music slowly fades out. Let's see if I can. So that is a great way of fading out the music. And to change the level, if you click on it, you can go over here and you can actually reduce it. Usually when you have a voiceover and music track, you want to make the level at least -18 or -20. And then you can fade it back up as soon as the dialogue is done. So hopefully that's a little bit useful. But I could go into like a whole tutorial on how to edit audio. Okay. Oh, I just realized that you guys couldn't see that. I'm sorry. Let's make this a little bit bigger and let me move this around. Yeah. So that will be better. Okay. Okay. So what I was saying before is up here, you can change the level after you click on the audio clip here. You can actually change the level to be at least -18 or -20 when you have somebody speaking at the same time. That's usually the level that you want audio to be at. And then at the end of this audio clip to fade out, I added an exponential fade. I went to the effects tab here in the project panel and just searched for exponential. It's a free transition that comes with Premiere Pro, and it makes the audio slowly fade out. Okay? All right, let me go back to see what other questions I have. Ah, okay. Do you always use your laptop for editing? Christy, so I see your question here about if I always use my laptop for editing, would you ever think of moving to a more powerful desktop system? So actually, for my full-time gig, I have a Mac Pro, and it's very powerful. I have a lot of RAM on there. I think I have 32 gigabytes of RAM, and it's a lot faster because it's flash memory. If I could afford it, I would 100% move to a Mac Pro at home right now. But right now, I had to recently buy a few other cameras, so I can't afford a desktop yet. But the Mac Pro that I have has 16 gigabytes of RAM and a lot of memory space for storage. I think about 500 gigabytes of storage. So it does the job. I would like it to be a little bit faster, but you know, you just have to wait until you can afford it, you know, because that's the most important thing. Video is not a cheap thing, you know. But I would go to a Mac Pro, like if I could get one today, you know. Also, I've heard that people have been building their own PCs, and that might be something I may be interested in doing if somebody knows how to do it. Help me out here. um, yeah, so you can definitely use the pen tool, Matthew, to adjust the levels in your audio track, certainly. If you go here to your pen tool, you see this level here. This is the audio level noise right now. If you go to your pen tool, you can actually add little keyframes here. Make it a little bit bigger, you can see. And if you wanted to raise it up, and then let's say you had an unwanted noise, you can bring it back down again. And let's say you wanted to remove this entire noise right here, then you could just bring it back up again. And so that's another way you can keyframe. And as you see up here in the effects controls, keyframes were added up here as well. You can also add keyframes here, but if you like working visually in your timeline here, you can actually use the pen tool to create new keyframes. And if you, I think if you click on it using command, you can actually bend it so it's more fluid. See what I'm doing right here? Kind of hard to see, but you can see these little blue handles here. And what that has done is it's made it so it's an exponential fade out versus something that's just linear, like a straight line. So Matthew, is that what you were talking about that you had in your course? Do I ever use programming or coding for editing? Not really. I don't really have a coding background or mathematical background, but I know that Film Impact, the transition pack, the bounce pack, it actually uses programming and coding to build those effects. So, I mean, maybe, you know, we could talk to the founder there and see what he's done to make those effects. That would be a pretty cool thing to learn about how he did that. Maybe we could have a live session and bring him in, because he would have more info about that. Thanks for donating. Yeah, so like I also have, so for me to do this, you know, I spend my time, I do this information for free, and it'd be awesome if you guys could go check out my Patreon page. You can donate just $2 a month, and it definitely helps. You know, it takes a village to build this, but you know, I exist for you guys because I want to help you guys, and I also learn from you too. Like, I mean, Christy just told me about doing a custom PC build. I find that like once you're no longer in a training course or you're not in school, it's really hard to, you know, keep up with the trends and like keep up with everything. So I think it's so important that we've created this community together for learning. So it's patreon.com/premiergal where you can go check it out there. Yeah, sure, no problem, Nagesh. Let's see here. I had one other question from... Okay. Can you guys see what I'm clicking on here? Somebody just wrote to me that they can't see what I clicked on. So somebody asked if I wanted to change my brand from Premier Gal to anything else, what would it be? And I think I would have just stayed myself, which is my full name, Kelsey Brannon, um, at Kelsbran on Twitter. But I wanted to sort of have something a little bit more creative that could be like my superheroine identity. So I think I would just choose my full name and just have like that. I know it's not that creative, but you know, if I was ever going to change Premier Gal, maybe it would be that, or it could just be Gal Media. Um, you know, your average gal that's helping you out how to learn. You know, it's not supposed to be intimidating. It's supposed to be open, genuine, authentic, and that's sort of what I was going for with my brand. So Matthew, you had some great questions here. For limited budgets, absolutely. I have some great suggestions for you. One is Rampant Design, which is the Premiere Essential pack, and I just did a tutorial on it, and I think it's only like $29. And I mean, $29, that's nothing for all of the different, I think it has like 120 different presets that you can use, and it's great. And you can add film looks, you can add, you know, bumps and shakes to your footage, and then also film impact. While it's a little bit more expensive, it's around $70 to $100 for pack. I use them every day. So like if you quantify that out, it's definitely worth it. But those are really the only ones that I can think of off the top of my head. But I'll let you know if I think of any others. So Serpit asked how to show chaos in a shot. I mean, I could show you one of the Premiere Essentials that actually shows chaos in a shot. There is a So let me go to effects here, and it's under presets. If you download Premiere Essentials by Rampant Design, you can go to Rampant Premiere Essentials, and they have bumps and shakes. So you can add sort of a bit of a bump to some footage. So right here in this cloud shot, actually I think the car shot maybe. Can you guys see what I'm doing right now? Let me just double check. Let me move this here. So what I have here is my timeline, and I want to go to the car shot here where you can see the car taking place. If you wanted to add like a bumper shake to this, I'll just add this bump effect large. I'll drag and drop it on the clip, and then you'll see up here in the effects controls window, let me just make sure that you guys can see that. Yep. You can expand it out and you can see what is happening. It actually created these custom keyframes. So if I play it back, you can see what just happened. It was just like this big bump and shake. So that's a way to sort of add some dynamism, some shaking to it. So I would just play around, and really what this is, it's just keyframing the position and the scale. So if you wanted to do it yourself, you could. You just need to play around, like making it big, small again, and that adds some shaking. And you know, right now it's actually quite fast, but if I selected all of these and pulled it out, you could actually make it a bit longer of a transition, right? Because the farther the distance, the longer it will be, okay? Yeah, so hopefully that answers your question. You could buy Rampant Design for $29 to get all of these different presets, as I was just telling Matthew, or you could, if you just want to create some sort of like chaos in the shot, just, you know, play around the position and scale keyframing. All right, let's see anything else here. Thanks, AGR Business. I look forward to sharing it with you as well. I actually used 3 different camera angles for the Multicam tutorial that I'm releasing tomorrow, and I'm including the footage in the tutorial so you guys can follow along. And I used a Canon XF100 for one angle, a Canon M3 for another angle, and then an iPhone 6. And they were all shot at 1080p, 30 frames per second. So I'd be curious to know if you guys can guess which angle is the iPhone 6 out of the 3 that I'll be including. You're welcome, Servhit. Is Servhit the right way to pronounce that? Super unicorns. I think you asked something before here. Let's see here. So, Matthew, I saw that you actually asked what the exponential fade was before, and actually the exponential fade with audio, it just fades out the audio over time exponentially. So it's a curve. So it's not just like a straight linear shot, right? Remember when I showed you in the audio here? Let's see if I can make this bigger again. So exponentially would be more of this kind of curvature here versus a straight linear. So that's what's happening in the exponential fade. You can make your own exponential fade using the keyframing pen tool here visually. And by the way, to get your audio levels to show here, if you hit this wrench, click on Show Audio Waveform. If I had this turned off, you don't see the audio waveform, right? But if you turn it on, this helps you see when the sound is there and when the sound is sort of not there. So it's very useful to have that turned on, the Show Audio Waveform. Okay. Is this useful, you guys? Thanks so much for your questions. Oh, and Nagesh, you asked about noise reduction. I actually did a tutorial using a plugin on noise reduction, but I really want to do a noise reduction tutorial, and I actually just did a video with my grandma. She recorded an audiobook for her memoirs, and I highly encourage it. If you have grandparents still alive, get them in front of a camera or just get audio on them and record their memoirs because it's awesome. So I recorded actually with this mic that I have right here. It's an SL600 with her, and I recorded everything. It's almost like 2 hours long, and I have to go and edit it. And one of the things that I have to do, Nagesh, is do noise reduction, right? So I'm going to be using Audition to do that. So in that tutorial, I will go into noise reduction a little bit, so it'll give you a little primer for noise reduction for your own tutorials, okay? And let's see here. Yes, mixing is, Matt, there are, lots of different tools that you can use to mix. I actually just did a video with Cheryl Ottenritter. She's the owner of the studio called Ott House Audio in Silver Spring, Maryland. And she actually uses Pro Tools for mixing, which is different. But I think that if you try using the exponential fade, it could work. What I like to do is actually layer the audio clips on top of each other and then add the exponential fade. Or you could add the pen tool and fade the two layers together, but make sure that they're sort of overlapped because that's the best way I find to sort of mix two audio tracks together. And then Super Unicorns, I love your name, by the way. Are there certain colors that you should use for lower thirds? I just use black and white. Any suggestions? So, for any graphics or text on the screen, make sure that the colors that you're using, there's good contrast between the two colors, right? So the background should usually be darker, or if the background's lighter, make the font color darker. And I try to be compliant, so if you go, I think there's like color checkers online. Compliancy really means is that the colors that you use can be read by persons that are colorblind or have some sort of like seeing disability. So I try to be accessible with my backgrounds and my font colors. So for example, in my demo here, right here with this sort of graphic that I've made up here called Impact Pop, if I open up the title here, you can see that the text color I used was white and the background was a dark purple, okay? So that's really important because you want to make sure that it's easily readable, people can see it, and that's the most important thing. But other than that, it doesn't matter what color you use. I could change this to a brown if I wanted to. If I change this color here, I could change it to a dark green, and it's still visible. But if it's a lighter green, I will show you, it's not going to be that easy to read. See? It actually hurts your eyes trying to see that. So that is a no-no. You don't want to have that color as the background. You definitely want it to be a darker color whether it's a blue or anything else. See? So hopefully that answered your question. Cool. All right, you guys, I just have a few more minutes here. Are there any other questions that I haven't answered yet? Let's see. I think I did everything. Let me just make sure that I've answered everything. Somebody asked about Wolf T. Hi from Berlin. Thanks, Wolf. I didn't see you there. Sorry about that. I think I answered everything. Let me know if I didn't answer anything. Can I make screen a little smaller? Which screen? The background? Aha. I see what you mean. Let's do this. Is that better? You guys, can you see it better? Okay. Sorry about that. Sometimes I'm looking in Premiere Pro and I can't actually see the OBS. So you guys, thanks so much for watching. Let me know if there's other times, because I want to do Ask Gals every month. And let me know what time works for you the best, what day. Excuse me, here, let me get some water. Because usually in the evenings is easier for me because I do work a full-time job, or on the weekends it works best. The full recording is available afterwards, of course, but totally up to you guys. So, oh, there is one more question here. Chroma Key or Ultra Key, what's the difference? So, Ultra Key, let me show you the effect here. The Ultra Key enables you to select like a solid color and remove that color. So if I added Ultra Key to this cloud here, what I can do is actually select the color that I want to key out, which is the blue here. And as you can see, it's not one solid color, so you get some of the darker color there, and you can try to clean that up a bit using the tolerance. See, if you increase the tolerance, it got rid of that. And then you can replace the sky with something else. So, for example, if I wanted to replace it, I don't know what happened there. There we go. You wanted to create a color map over here. If you go down to New Item, hit Color Matte. Let's say you wanted to make the sky like more of a light blue like this. You could add a color matte underneath. See? It doesn't look that great, but I'm just trying to illustrate, you know, what you can do with the Ultra Key. And then the Chroma Key I actually haven't used here. I don't know if it's... The Chroma Key actually isn't an effect. So Chroma Key, I think what you're saying is that Chroma Key is an actual name that has been used to actually... Chroma Key means taking the color, replacing a color with another background. So, you know, the reason why the green is the most popular is because it's the least different from the human skin tone, right? So if you're using red, actually red, there's a lot of red in the color of our skin because the blood behind, you know, our skin is red. So it's not good to use red as your sort of backdrop. That's why they actually developed the green. But Chroma Key is the actual terminology, and Ultra Key is the tool that Premiere Pro uses to create a Chroma Key. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully I answered that. So yeah, you guys, I am over. I don't think I have any other questions here, but I really appreciate you guys tuning in. and let me know. I'll do a poll on Twitter to see what time next month works best, and I'll share this recording with you guys. Okay. So thanks so much for watching, and again, I will have the lottery about. I'll use this coding software that I have that basically you can input everybody's name and it randomly selects a person to be the winner. So I'll let you guys know who is the winner after very soon. I'm just going to input everybody that asked a question, and I'll let you know who won the Gal t-shirt and the Film Impact Bounce Pack, okay? So, and yes, just one other point, Matthew, I am going to be doing a tutorial using the Lumetri color panel in 2 weeks. So keep an eye out for that. I'm going to use some color correction very soon. I'm going to hopefully do some video shots out here in DC of the mall, the national monuments, and try to intentionally have the white balance off so I can actually do some nice color correction for you and do some enhancement. So keep on engaging I can't talk right now. Keep engaging with me on Twitter and ask the questions. If you go to premieregal.com/tutorials, you can leave requests there if you want to learn anything, and it just helps me keep track, because if you ask me on Twitter, sometimes I forget about it. So if you go to premieregal.com/tutorials and just fill out my form, it's completely free, and it gets put into a spreadsheet, and then I can keep track of it. So yeah, color correct. I should do some B-roll of the White House, you know. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. I know it's a Sunday and it's not ideal for everybody because it's in the middle of the day, but you know, we'll come up with a good time next time for everybody else. So thanks again, and I will see you guys next time. All right, bye. I'm glad that Berlin worked for you, Wolf. So awesome. Cool. And here's the closing. Let's make this a little bit smaller here. Thanks for watching, guys.